important because welcome to Move Better 55 Plus, week number uno. And this week, as you know, the program cycles through three themes that I find Osteoporosis Canada may agree as well. We're going to focus on strength training in week 1. Week 2 is going to be aerobic training, meaning getting your heart rate up. And week 3 is mobility / you might see it as a stretching style type class, but that one's a tricky one. You'll never know what happens in week 3. And then week 4, we tie it all together with a bow and do a class that consists of all 3 of those modalities for fun with some music and maybe some dancing. Because if it's not fun, what's the point? To that team, this week we're working on strength training. Number 1 reason why we strength train is to reduce our sedentary time. Right? Also to strengthen our muscles, which apply information with tugging or contracting as it is, shortening on our bones. And also exercise in general has been shown the number 1 way to reduce your risk of falling. Within the context of these classes, there will always be single leg work, variations of perturbation training, things to challenge your balance, because again, balance training is recommended pretty much every day. And I just want to first off say congratulations for being here, because you are one of 17% of the population, if you are 65 and over, who is actually taking the time to exercise regularly. Pretty amazing you are. I'm just saying. So I want to emphasize why strength training is really important before we start moving our bodies. You can sit, you can stand, you can do whatever you want, rock side to side while I'm doing a quick little intro. And I was speaking with one of you, I'm not going to say their name, but I was speaking with one of you about our parents, right? Maybe our parents weren't really big on exercising. I know my parents were. They just did the house chores, right? Vacuuming, gardening, household chores, mowing the lawn and whatnot. But what happens in life, generally speaking, to people who aren't active in maintaining their strength is they start off here, super duper healthy, and then one day they trip and fall and they break a bone. And that bone being broken takes them time to heal, but it can also limit their function. Right? And they get better, yeah, but maybe they don't do the rehab exercises really well. And so they have a little bit of a limp, which puts them at an increased risk, for example, of falling because they don't have a good base of support. The next thing that happens is they have a cardiac issue. Right? And the next thing that happens is their arthritis sets in and it debilitates their ability to open jars, open doors, do strength things around the house. You can see where I'm going with this chart, right? One thing leads to another thing, leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. So it's a slow decline until hopefully they're around till they're 95, 100 years old, God willing, but the decline is pretty painful to watch from the sidelines. Wouldn't you agree? They lose their independence. The beauty of exercise is that it keeps us at this even level. Why? Because even if we did fall and break a bone, we bounce back way quicker. Our muscles are stronger, our joints are more mobile. Exercise helps our attitude and our way that we move through life, perhaps even helping how we heal. So that we go along in our golden years, whatever you want to call them, kind of like this. So instead of this slow, steady decline, losing our independence, we kind of stay here. We bounce back. We might have a little bit of an episode of some particular health issue, but we bounce back and we bounce back because we've maintained our health. And then one day, God willing, we're 95, 100 years old. We close our eyes, we go to sleep, we never wake up again. That's the way to do it, right? Would you not agree? Just like we want to live a life that one day we close our eyes and we don't wake up. We don't want that slow, steady decline, right? Nobody wants to watch that happen, and we don't want it certainly to happen to us. So this is what strength training does. It keeps you on the steady, right? And I want to know from you before we continue with the movement, what is your motivation? So that's my motivation, because I have people to take care of. right? And I love traveling through Ontario. I love hiking. I love doing activities, bike riding. Now Jenny knows I'm really into and excited about that. Those are things that motivate me to keep strong. I want to just quickly go around and give me one personal, if you're comfortable, reason why you exercise, why you strength train, why you do cardio, why you stay mobile. Dina, go. For your family. Yeah, that's kind of like my reason too, right? Yeah, Jenny, what about you? Family was one person's answer. On the recording, they are not going to hear you specifically, just so you know. The recording is strictly going to hear my voice. Jenny, go ahead. Tell everybody, if you're comfortable, why you want to stay strong. Yeah. Stay independent. Yep. Help your family, help others. I love it. Sue. Is Sue there? Maybe she can't hear us. How about Susan? Susan, go ahead, Susan. Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy life, independence, and feel good too. That is really important because we all know what it feels like when we don't feel good, right? Elizabeth. I love that. Isn't that true? Yeah. Not to burden our children. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. And I mean, I think the premise back in the day was like you had children so they could take care of you. Now we're like, see, I'm going to Portugal. Bye. You know, Karen, thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Karen. All of the above. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Love to be outside and doing all the things. Heather, how about you? Freedom. Isn't that so true? I love that answer. That's my favorite so far. Victoria. Same. I love it. That's the way to go, right? That's the way to go. Doing all the things you love right till the very end. However that end ends, it's doing what you want through the process, right? Living. Yeah. Judy, go ahead if you want to share. That's it. Yeah. God bless her. Yeah. I love it. Doing your own thing right to the very end. Absolutely. God bless her. Marion, go ahead. Yeah, exactly. Healthy, strong, and active. Marley. Yeah. And your grandson, right? Yes, awesome. I'm just going to share quickly, team, because Vicky texted the information, her thoughts. Keeping up with my grandkids. Yes, absolutely. I don't think you're alone in that. Love all the freedom. Yeah, exactly. Freedom is the best. Gail, I almost called you David. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to have to say, no, we can't because we can't do this because, right? Thank you. Claudette, go ahead. Oh, you're muted. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Stay out of surgery. Yep. That's 11 grandchildren. Yes. Keeping you busy. Yeah, and to that, Deb couldn't be here today because, oh wait, no, that was Monday. Today she's with her ski club. So she obviously wants to continue her skiing as well, but grandkids are definitely part of her life as well. Thank you so much, Claudette, for sharing. Ingrid, are you able to share? There you go. I was just going to say that, Ingrid. I thought it wasn't going to come up, and I was like, that's another one of the reasons why, to those on the recording, our mental health, right? You all have, well, you know what I've been going through this past couple of 6 months, and if it wasn't for my movement practice, which I never stopped through all of the madness that is going on, I always made sure that I spent time 6 days out of the week getting my movement in. So thank you so much for sharing that, because it really means a lot. We need to dig deep sometimes. I know there's some days you wake up and you're like, oh, the last thing I want to do is hear that woman go, yep, yep, yep. But you know what? In the end, you're going to be better for it in so many ways, in all the ways that you mentioned and more. So to that, let's get started. On your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Please, please, please have any support that you need as per my introduction webinar, or email rather, with the transition information. Sorry, I'm trying to do something and talk at the same time. Clearly not working out very well. Thank you all. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Vicky G in Medicine Hat. I love all your shares. Knees bent, feet flat, get your blankets, whatever support. Love all the answers so far. Freedom 100%, here we come, says Vicky. Absolutely. Full screen, here we go. So knees bent, feet flat on the floor, supporting the curves of our spine as you see fit. We're doing our best, team, not to flatten the low back. Clearly the class is gonna go a little longer than expected because of that intro, but I'm not sorry about it. So from here, bring your knee up to tabletop. I don't care which one. Yeah, so one leg up to tabletop position. Good. You might want to shimmy the opposite leg slightly out of the way a few inches, because what we are going to do is we're going to make some circles with that knee. So I always like to use that reference. You've heard it before. Take your hands wide on the floor, pressing your palms down, pressing your shoulders down, and pressing the base of your skull down, and keeping a little bit of tension in through the abdomen without flattening your low back. You're going to make some little pie circles in the ceiling with your kneecap, slowly making those circles as big as you can without your pelvis swaying left to right, side to side. And so once you have reached your maximum range of motion, you're going to do one more full circle in your maximum range of motion and change the direction, starting with a small pie plate. Oh, the pie references are coming. Cottage season is upon us. Lots of farmers markets. So make those big circles. You want to be able to hike to those farmers markets and pick up that pie. We need to have good mobility in through the hips. Those hips are going to help you do our functional movement patterns that are part of today's workout, using mostly body weight. When you've completed that largest circle, you're going to straighten that leg to give those hip flexors where your leg meets your pelvis a little bit of a break. And then from here, you're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite leg. So again, I like to either place my hands on my pelvis to make sure it's not wobbling, or take my hands slightly outside of my body, pressing my palms down, pressing back of shoulders and back of head down. Good. Gail, slow down that circle. Same with you, Sue, and Susan rather S. Make sure the movement is coming from your knee and not your foot. So the kneecap is tracing the circle and you're making it as big as you can. Good. Remember, you have two directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. This movement is especially helpful in our squats that are coming up today. 3, 2, make your biggest one now, and 1. Extend that leg and shake it out on the floor. Good, and then bend your knees, place both feet back on the floor. Keep your legs hip-width apart-ish. And if you could walk your feet back so that you could almost tickle your heels with your fingers. They may not come that close, but you're attempting to get them as close as you can. Good. Now, once again, take your hands just outside of shoulder height, outside of your hips is what I was trying to say. Press the back of your arms down, press your shoulders down, squeeze your bum right here. Start with the squeezing of the bum. Now push your feet into the floor and lift your hips to the sky. Yep, and then lower your hips to the floor and release the tension on your glutes. And give me a few more of those. So start with the squeeze, then the hip lift, then lower and then release the tension. Good. Yeah. And if you feel that the legs are too close to your seat, then go ahead and start moving them there farther away. But I'd rather you start with them too close than way too far away from you. That's it, Claudette. Good. Really use your arms. Push your arms into the ground to help lift the center line of your body. That part's heavy, right? Good. Just starting to wake up the glutes. It's going to be helpful in your squats as well, among other things. Give me 2 more, team. So you're in the bridge and then you're out of the bridge. Nice. Perfect. Turn to your side using that arm extended overhead position, just like in our introduction video. I need a little support under my knees today. You're going to widen your knees outside of your hips. For now, curl your toes under. What that means is it's almost like my foot is facing the wall behind me. You can see the whole of my foot as opposed to the top of my foot on the floor. So your toes are curled under. And again, if this doesn't work for you, give me 1 second and I will show you something that may work for you. You're going to start to walk your hands away from your body and then lowering your head in between your arms as if your arms were framing your head. Okay, so you can see your spine is in a lengthened position. Option here is to use the back of a chair or a wall and come into the same similar spinal lengthening position. Now, without moving your body, start to see if you can reach your right fingertips farther away from you. Just walk your fingertips. I like to pretend my fingers are like spiders stretching. Good, Jenny. And then bring it back. And then do the same thing with the left hand or the right hand. You're going to spider walk your fingers maybe an inch. You're going to stretch. Yep, you're okay, Judy. Good. Reach, reach, reach. Good. And bring it back. And one more time. See if you can reach one arm away from you a little bit farther. Good. And come back. And then the other side, Claudette. I can't see you, Marion, just so you know, but it's okay. We're coming up soon, okay? Perfect. Now, don't change your legs. Just walk your hands so that your wrist creases are underneath your shoulder. Hands can be on the seat of a chair as well. Actively push the floor away. So I want you to bend your elbows and push the floor away. So pushing is a functional movement pattern, and you can see here we're making like a vertical position of the shoulder joint, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Same thing, knee, hips stacked. Good. And from here, let's just go opposite arm, opposite leg reach. Hold it for a couple of seconds. Lower. Push into the ground to reset your upper back. Feel really broad in between your shoulder blades. And do the other side. Toes are still curled under. Heel is reaching. Fingertips reaching, reaching, reaching. And lower. And give me one more on each side. Finding that center line, core stability. Push, push, push with the hand on the floor and release. Nice, Marley. Let's see it, Karen, on the other side. Even if you're one who hyperextends your elbows, I want you to lock those elbows out. We need to be able to work our joints in all the ranges of motion and release. Good. And then walk your hands towards your feet. Bring a little bit more weight into your heels and then push yourself up to come to stand. You may walk out of the frame for the next position. It's going to be a wall plank hold. Okay. Take your hands to the wall at shoulder height. Okay, shoulder height. Spread, spread, spread. Good. And now from there, you're going to start walking your feet away from the baseboards. If you want to come up onto the balls of your feet, you can. Otherwise, you can keep your heels down if that's available to you, depending on how far. Yep. Now pull your belly in and squeeze your bum together like you were in a bridge. Okay, so belly is tight, glutes are tight. And the timer starts now, and you just push. So feel that broadness through the upper back. If you would like to dial your fingers out, if that feels a little bit better in your wrists, you can do that. Elizabeth, pull your abdomen in a little bit more. Yes, good. So we want to be 180 degrees from shoulder joint to ankle joint, which means you have to engage your belly and your bum. That's it, Vicki. Good. We're going to do 45 seconds, so 10 more seconds. Breathing, full breath into the rib cage all the way around. 3, 2, 1. One more thing for a warm up, and that's grabbing that resistance band. Just warming up the shoulder blades on your back. Have a little bit of slack in between both fists. Back into the living room Judy goes. And we're going to pull the band across our chest. So I don't want it up here. I want it down here. Yeah, and then come back through center. Good. Give me about 10 of those. Hold it and then bring it back. So good, Heather. Now, when you pause, notice the space in between your spine there. Your shoulder blades are coming in towards your spine. And that's what we want to do. We want to wake up those upper back muscles. Good. So up to 10. You want to feel it being challenging. There's got to be some information in there. I feel, Karen, yeah, you're too wide. So yes, you're stronger than that. Keep going. Finish up your 10, and then you can put that off to the side and grab a sip of water. Again, no music today. I really want to focus on your form and at the job at hand. We can have a lot more fun moving forward in the 10-week series, of which I do not know how to count. You guys know that already. But it is 10 weeks, in fact, with a 1-week break in May. And then we're going to talk about today's workout of the day. So moving forward, we're going to refer to this as a WOD, W-O-D, workout of the day. Today's workout of the day includes 8 exercises repeated twice. Okay, mostly body weighted, and I know it's not going to be challenging for a lot of you. Others might think it's a great foundation or something to return to when you're at the cottage or traveling this summer. But it will get in our functional movement patterns that are required as part of our 150 minutes of exercise a week, but more so to our strength training, right? So we need 150 minutes of cardiovascular aerobic training, and then we need 2 workouts involving strength training. So this is one of 2 this week. First exercise, we're going to do these for rounds of 60 seconds. And the reason we're doing that, team, is because there's no load. So I will demonstrate the first exercise, and then you're going to join me. You can take your hands on your hips for this exercise, and we're just going to fold forward at the crease where our leg meets our pelvis. So this, in fact, is a hip hinge. So the primary mover, your hip, your sit bones are moving back behind you. So join me there, and before we continue, I want you to start practicing your hip hinge because I'm gonna come watch, okay? This is basically like a seated good morning. So to make it a little bit more challenging, you can take your hands on either sides of your temples or cross them over your chest. I like this variation here. We're going to think about pulling our feet back in the hinge position. So watch for a second. I'm going to come into this hinge and my feet are pulling me into the hinge. Right? So I'm dragging my feet back and I'm hinging. My arms are making the movement of what my legs are doing. And then as I come up, I'm going to push the floor away to come up. So try that. Pull your heels towards you or towards the chair. They're not going to go anywhere because they're stuck like glue. So pull them back. Chest comes forward. Push the feet into the floor and you come up. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is bring our legs into this portion of the class. So as you hinge forward, we're not standing at all, Judy. So this is just a hip hinge. I'm just coming to the monitor to see you. So I'm going to hinge forward, pulling my heels back towards the legs of the chair and push up. Are we clear on that, team? And in the 30-second break, I'll show you the next exercise. Yeah, so options, you don't even have to go quite as deep, Marley. I know you have a huge range of motion, but just make sure it's a nice flat back. Tummy tight, pull the legs back. Okay, are we ready? So 60 seconds, I'm coming to watch you. We're doing our seated good mornings, body weighted, dragging your heels back, pushing your legs in the floor to come up. And that means an upright position, not standing. 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Good. So hinge forward, push the floor away, and come up. Good. So again, keeping your hands on your temples is a way to increase the load because you know your arms are heavy. Good. Inhale to come forward. Push your feet down to come up and exhale. So inhale, push. I know it's a lot more fun with music, but again, I want to focus on your form today. No rounded shoulders. If your hands are at your temple for your seated good mornings, you're pulling your elbows back. Otherwise, across your chest or on your hips. Gorgeous, Claudette. Really push the floor away. Use your legs, focusing on the hinge mechanic on 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is a basic functional movement pattern. It's referred to as a hinge. Next, we're going to grab a box of tissue, book, or block. We're going to do the exact same exercise, but we're going to tap the object between our feet. So your feet can be hip-width apart. I'm going to hold on to the block and I'm going to tap it down and come up. So if the floor is too far away in your hinge, so I'm going to show it from different angles while you're resting, come up. So same thing, try to pull your feet back, right? And we push our feet into the floor to come up. Push and come up. Push and come up. Good, ready, go. Yeah, so don't worry if you don't touch the floor. So if your hinge is such, so we're not squatting, just so you know, the legs are straight, right? Soft bend maybe, but this is a hip hinge. You're just picking groceries up off of the floor or loading and unloading your dishwasher. I like to have an object in my hands just as a reference for everyday activities. Good. So remember, it's like you're dragging your heels back behind you to hinge forward. That's it, Karen. And push the feet in the floor to come up. Tap the floor, push to come up. So remember, we're not squatting. No bending knees. Good. You have 5 more seconds. Tummy tight. Squeeze your tush as you come up. 2 and 1. Starting to wake things up, I know. Now, put that down. 30-second break. Come to sit in the center of your chair. You can do this with me. Now we're squatting because we're going to sit and stand up. Aiming for the middle of your chair, not the edge where there's a potential to fall off. We're going to come up quickly by what? Pushing your feet down. That's how we stand. Okay? But to come back down, we're going to lower on a count of 3, 2, 1. Tap the chair. Boom. 3. There's a bug on the chair. Ew. 2, 1. Come up. So lower slowly. Press into the floor to come up. When you're ready, sit in your chair. I'll tell you when to go. Start now. Good. Quick up. Push those feet down. Slow and controlled down. Remember, team, we start with our heels underneath our knees in a squat. We don't want our feet back here. You're not going to be able to get the power you want. Instead, your knees are going to go ouchie. We don't want that. Jenny, move your feet farther away from the chair. It feels like yes. Now sit your bum back behind you. Yep. That's better. Good. So tap your butt back. Gorgeous, Claudette. Slow the descent like you're putting the brakes on. 3, let's see, Heather. 2, 1, tap, boom, up. Okay, Marley, you got an extra 30 seconds on your clock. She took a break. No, I'm kidding. Good. Another 10 seconds. That's slowing down, I tell you. 3, 2, and 1. Everybody stop. I was just teasing Marley. All right. So go back to your squats, but now we're going to start standing. Still aiming your sit bones, right? You know where your sit bones are down here? Your sit bones for the center of the chair. Now it's for speed. How many? I want to hear you counting. Not that I can hear, the volume's off, but I want you to count 60-second. Normally it's done in a 20-second. We're going to do a 60-second. Don't start now. Don't start now. That's cheating. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 60-second. Go. Good. Really push that floor away. It's not just about bending and straightening your knees. Push. Yes. Tap and come up. You don't sit down and have a break. And if 60 seconds feels too long for your joints, you're going to do what you can. But you're counting. Keeping your hands on your hips or using them for momentum, whatever works best for you. Nice, Marley. Good, Heather. You're just coming to stand, so make sure not to push your hips forward. Down, up. Just push down into the floor. That's all you need to focus on. 10 more seconds. Get in your last count in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember the number. Okay, just remember that number or write it down. Speed, stick, sit to stand. So the next one, we're going on to the next functional movement pattern because if I didn't mention it in the email, mostly focusing on functional movements, we're going to do a split stance. So I've started with my right leg forward and my left leg back. Now you can see my back heel is lifted. Your goal today is to bend both knees and straighten. And how do we straighten our legs? Do we just straighten our knees? Incorrect. We push into both legs equal weight. So we don't want all the weight here. Although we do that, you will see that in some of the classes, we'll hinge and push mostly the weight in the front leg. Today, I want you to focus on staying centered, bending those knees as much as you comfortably can. You're going to do 30 seconds on one side. I'll say time, and you're going to switch and take the opposite leg forward and finish the remaining 30 seconds on the other. Torso upright, core is on. You're pushing into the ground to stand. In 3, 2, 1, and you go. So I like that chair for support. You do not need it, but it's there. If you want to practice some balance work, then you can take your fingers off or hold the chair or wall lightly. Try not to lean forward, and the knees are bending at the same rate. So we're not putting it all in the front knee. Yes, Karen, very good, nice. Good job, DeGale. Change sides. So switch legs, finish off the remaining 30 seconds in 3, 2, 1, and you go. This is exercise number 5 in our 8 exercise WOD. You'll be getting this in print, so I will write down the exercises for those of you who like to take notes. You can have that as a reference. I know who you are. In 3, 2, 1, please watch. So that prepares you for this next functional movement. It's called the walking lunge. My right leg comes forward. My left hand is going to hold the weight. I'm going to put it down, pick it up, switch legs, switch hands. So I'm just going to tap, imagining I'm putting something, but I'm not letting go, just switching hands. You're going to walking lunges, tapping the floor with a block, with a book, with a water bottle. So opposite hand to opposite leg. Can you see that? One hand in front, opposite leg in front. Bend. So do your walking lunges. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Oh, you guys are starting before I say go. You're pushing the floor away. Yeah, good, very good. And if you're feeling uncomfortable in your balance, you can maybe walk along your wall, right? Having that for assistance. Dynamic balance training in a functional movement using your body weight. We did it all in one exercise. You're doing great. Think of what you do on a daily basis where you might be walking and you have to bend down to pick something up. Somebody left a Lego block on the floor or gardening tool in the garden. They forgot to put it away, right? You got to hinge, lunge, walk, push the floor away. Very good, Elizabeth. Making it look easy in 3, 2, 1. So good. Grab a sip of water if you want it. That one was a little bit more aerobic based. But you can see a lot of these functional exercises include a push mechanic, right? When we talk about hinging in the movement world, we're talking about this being the active movement of hinging from the hip. But it really is a full body exercise. Core, glutes, push, yes? And at the same time, pulling your feet back towards the wall behind you. For those of you, as an interlude, we're paused because this isn't an aerobic exercise necessarily. For those of you who don't take yoga, we did this exercise on Monday. You can do it with me, where we tried to get that pulling action ingrained in our brain by getting the gum off of our feet, right? Sliding, right? And then we stopped, kept our feet planted, and came into that hinge with the same idea of pulling our feet back behind us, waking up those hamstrings. So that's that idea of pulling ourselves into a hinge position. Grab your resistance band and have a seat. We're gonna wake up those shoulders. Feet are outside of the hips, and I'm standing on my resistance band. I'll show you from this angle. And that's why I think I said, you know, the longest resistance band you have. Good. And then from here, we're gonna hinge forward. Make sure there's some tension on the band, team. What I want you to start doing is thinking of this. Shoulders, elbows, wrists are stacked vertically. So from this side, I'm hinging with a flat back. My arm is 100% straight and the resistance is coming from your band. And you're gonna squeeze your shoulder blades back and slightly down. Did I bend my elbow? I did not. And then release that. So squeeze my shoulder blades back and down and release. And that's the exercise. We're pulling the band and hugging our shoulder blades in towards our spine. All the while you're pushing your feet into the ground and focusing on lengthening the spine. So pulling, not initiated with the arms, but the shoulders. All right, so get your setup. Any questions on that one? It's a little different. Watch for this before you start, team. None of that, okay? So we're shrugging back and down, back and down, back and down. So keep saying that to yourself. In 3, 2, 1, you're in it. Watch those knees, Miss Elizabeth. Yes, good. Back and down. So if you wanted to do it standing in a hinge, you could. I find it a little bit more challenging to do this, but the band is under your feet and you're holding onto the band on either side, seated in a chair. Standing is an option if you like, but this is the variation that I suggest for this exercise. So we shrug and pull, band in your feet. So Claudette, sit in the chair for me, please. And stay in your hinge. Arms are straight, enough tension in the start position, then shrug back and down. Yes, that's it. Keep going. This is a hard one, I can see. Release. For round 2, I'm gonna do a little longer of a demo. Actually, I'm gonna do that demo again, but I'm gonna come closer. So we're retracting, right? Retracting. We just happen to be in a hinge position. Resistance band under my feet, retract, retract, okay? Which is the beginning of a pull. So if I'm pulling something towards me, but I want you to feel it more coming from your upper back than this, okay? So keep that in your mind's eye. One more exercise. Find yourself at a wall with no props other than your magnificent body. And you'll know why I had programmed this exercise prior to your wall push-up. We're gonna bring ourselves close to the wall by doing what? Retracting those shoulder blades, and then you're gonna push it away. So your wall push-up can look like this, team. You see how my feet are directly underneath me, underneath my shoulders? This could be your starting position. Retract, push. Squeeze shoulder blades back and down, push. And that's how you get closer to the wall, yes? So wall push-ups, 60 seconds. Make it more challenging. You walk your feet away from the surface that you're holding onto, wall, fridge, door. All right, so find yourself there. And we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, and go. So pushing up, pushing away from the wall as you broaden through your upper back, and then squeeze those shoulder blades in towards your spine. Really important movement. It's a push and a pull, all rolled into one. Nice, Jenny, great form. So watch the tops of your shoulders. We don't want to wear another pair of earrings. So maybe lessen the elbow bend if you find you're shrugging. So don't bring yourself as close to the wall. That might take time and progression. Really good, Victoria. Let's see it, Susan. Nice. You have 15 more seconds on the clock, Gail. Great form. How's your tushy? How's your belly? Great form, Elizabeth. Really push actively, Claudette. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, and time. Feel free to unmute yourself. These are basic functional movement patterns that we need to put here. And I know a lot of you know it, but sometimes I say things differently and you're like, what? Or you're like, oh. It's one or the other. Are there any questions? No. You ready to go one more round? I think you are. Let's do this. So find your chair. And again, if you find the chair is too low, you can elevate your seat. Join me, Marion. Let me get my clock set up. So again, I'm gonna do, this is our good morning. So normally done in a standing position, but I want you to really think about what the legs are doing in this exercise. And you're in it right now. Hip hinge, push the floor away. Yeah, hands on hips is good too. Your legs are gonna have to be nice and wide to make space for your torso, right? So narrow legs isn't conducive in the seated variation, although you could do it standing. Pull yourself to the floor and push yourself away from it. Really good job, Marianne. Oh, there you are, Judy. We lost her and now she's back again. Internet connections. Jenny, when you come back up, really aggressively push the floor away if that's available to you. Yes, that's much better. 10 more seconds, team. Bring yourself with control down. Push it away. Good. In 3, 2, 1. Nice job. Doing the same exact thing, except we're using a reference point. I like to have like an object in my hand, right? And because we're focusing on body weight work today, we can increase the interval, which we have done today, but I'm just kind of tapping the floor and coming up. Watch the difference between a squat and a hinge. We just did a hinge on the chair. We moved our hips, right? This is a squat. I'm bending my knees. So we are not bending our knees. We are reaching in the direction of the floor. Whether we touch it or not is irrelevant. When you're ready, go. Flat back, flat back. Push your tush back. If you don't touch the floor, I don't care. Feet are parallel, Susan S. Thank you. Elizabeth, you're squatting. Elizabeth, yeah, that's you. You're squatting. Don't bend your knees. Thank you. So yeah, now when you think about standing, I want you to think about driving those feet down, Marion. Push them into the floor so you invite the whole posterior chain to this exercise. The calves, the hamstrings, the glute, and yes, the back. Why wouldn't the back be involved in this? Victoria, watch you rounding your shoulders at the end range. So really imagine that rod on your back and keeping your shoulders squeezing in together in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, good. Lots of finesse here, lots of experience in this room, team. One more reminder so that we don't round the shoulders in a hinge. Squeeze your shoulders back and keep them there, right? You're much less likely to bring the shoulders forward if you keep squeezing gently the shoulder blades in towards the spine. So there's that retraction again. Keep showing up. All right, grab that sip of water. Seated tempo squats. Remember, for those of you who don't remember, if when you sit in a chair and your tailbone tucks underneath you, this is a sign that you need that elevation, yeah? So if you want the elevation, it's there for the choosing, for the, I don't know, for the picking, is that the term? Sit in the center of your chair, slight wider than hip width apart. Push your feet into the floor. Come up, quick, lower, 3, 2, 1, tap, right? So it's an aggressive standing pushing. Aggressive, come to stand, push. Like musical chairs, go. Yeah, I don't care what you do with your hands for this exercise. We will progress over time, adding load, adding load. Nice, Elizabeth, nice, Susan. Slowing that descent down is going to turn up the volume on your muscles. The slower you go, the harder those muscles are contracting. Nice, Heather. Ooh, my example of a nice tall spine right there in Heather. Gorgeous. Way to go, Judy. So I like what Judy's doing. She's using her arms to help with momentum, right? Coming down, coming up. It's an option. It's not the only way, but I like it. That's it, Gail. I like the smile on Gail. 3, 2, 1, time. I feel like that should be like an AC/DC shirt. Do you have an AC/DC shirt, Gail, that you've worn before, or is it just that one? Oh, we can't hear you, Gail. Ah, Pura Vida. Yes, I gotcha, I gotcha. From back here, I'm like, does that say AC/DC? I'm like, way to go, Gail. But Pura Vida will do. Okay, speed, sit to stand. So now all bets are off. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, origami. Spring in your step. So this is a power move, team. And power training is one of the things that we want to add to our workout exercises, a group of exercise to help our what? Fall prevention strategy. When you're ready, go. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to follow Judy's way when she did that slower pace. I like this. But keeping your arms relatively close to your body in some capacity might help those who struggle with the rounded spine situation. Woo! And keeping your bum aiming for the center of the chair is going to help take that load off of your knees. Holy cardio. A whole minute of pushing. You can do it. Come on, Karen. Let's go, Claudette. It's a good thing I'm a teacher. I just get to watch you work and sweat. Come on, Marion. Let's go, Elizabeth. Last 10 seconds. Let's see what you got, Dina. She's like blurred. That's how fast she's going, Dina. In 3, in 2, and 1. Way to go, Marley. Okay, grab a quick sip of water. I'm sure you need it. I need it just from talking. There's a lot to be said about that. Split lunges, splitting our functional movement of a lunge in 2. And please remember, team, that we do these in various ways. Today we're focusing on equal weight. One leg forward, one leg back. Don't care. You are not on a balance beam, so take that out of the equation by making sure you are on train tracks or hip width apart. And what does that look like from this angle? You can see your back leg, right? Not behind. Ooh, that's a different challenge altogether. Okay, so keep your feet shoulder or hip width apart. Find your split stance. How far is up to you. You could have a little one, but I suggest that you'll be able to split the weight better if you have a farther distance from the front to the back foot. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Down and up. Push the floor away. 30 seconds on one side. I'll tell you when to split. Try not to lean forward for me, Victoria. So equal bend in front and back knee. Tummy is on. If you are, however, feeling this in your low back, keeping vertical with your spine, then please do the slight hinge, which is going to put a little bit more weight in your front leg and front glute. In 3, 2, 1, change positions of the leading leg. So good. Don't worry, this is your last time through. And then the sun is shining here in the GTA. Hopefully it is near you in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 30 seconds on the other side. Down and up. Good, Marley. So this does not have to be for speed, right? Although sometimes I demo because I'm excited. This is about your strength, controlling the movement. There are certain exercises where we do focus on speed. This is not one of them. Make sure you're up on your back toes, Susan S. And you try to bend those knees equal amount. Yeah, so nice and easy. Down and up. In 3, in 2, and 1. Okay, the one that gave you the most trouble was the retraction. Show me what retraction looks like. Does it look like this? Who believes retraction looks like this? Jenny's got it. Good. Retraction is arm bone going back, 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 and slightly down, yeah? So the down helps us remember not to bring the shoulders up. Except that, you know that move expression? We don't want that. Okay. It's like, what are you talking about? All right, so once again, for those who don't remember, you're gonna take your resistance band underneath your feet. You're gonna walk those hands down the resistance band. So you see, you start off in a hinge, sticking your tush back. Widen your feet just outside of the hips. And again, you have to start with tension or you're gonna end up bending your elbows to retract, right? So we retract and we lower. And we retract and we lower. So this is the part, the retraction brings your body to the wall in your push-up phase. So you're pulling the resistance band by retracting your shoulders. Pulling yourself to the wall in a push-up. Stay in the hinge if you can, so there's no need to straighten up. Try not to bend the elbows to the best of your ability. If you need to straighten upright because your back is hurting you staying in a hinge, then tighten your tummy a little bit more. But please go ahead and take that break. Nice, Marley. Good. Gorgeous, Claudette. You're my model today for this exercise. Great job, Elizabeth. So again, remember, it's not about the arms going back. It's about the shoulders going back. You're doing great. No worries, Ingrid. See you. Good. 3, 2, 1. Probably the most difficult functional movement pattern is that pull. Pull. Because you're going to use this a lot in this series, right? If you think pulling a weight in, it's the same exercise. It comes from here. So when you hear me say these movements are about the spine, you can feel it definitely in that exercise. Now take it to the wall. Final round. 1 minute. Again, it's not speed push-ups. Before we go, one last piece of advice. If you get to here, see how bent my elbows are? I can bend them further, but my shoulders start to hike up to my ears to get in my full push-up, then don't go all the way. So stop here. Right? We all start somewhere. I would rather you get some range of motion with retraction than ending in poor form. All right, start with the push. Arms straight. Feet however distance apart that challenge you with your core and your butt on. And go. Yes, that's great, Chetty. I love that. Yep. Now remember the push. That's when you get angry and you actively straighten the elbows. But you can slow that descent down to the wall with bending the elbows as much as you like. Use your exhale. We're not talking a lot today about breath. That's another class. But think about what is effective breathing here. I'm sure you could figure that out. Great, Gail. I love the form today. You're on point. Nice job, Marley. You have 20 more seconds. Tummy in, glute squeezing. What's your why? What do you push on a regular basis? 3, 2, 1. Pushing strollers, pushing grocery carts, pushing a wheelchair. I don't know if you have parents that you help and they're not able to walk, you use a wheelchair. Pushing mechanics is something you do every single day. Nice job, team. Again, if you're going to repeat this, and my hope is before we see each other, I don't know if this crew remembers, but my goal is that every Wednesday we do a class together, but that you do it one more time before I see you. Okay? So let's stretch things out a little bit. Let's just sweep our arms forward. Turn the palms out and reach the arms back. Good. Again, inhale. Exhale back. So we're just going over by about 5 minutes, and I think it was well worth it because getting to know your whys, but the freedom, who said that? Change directions. Whoever said that. Brilliant. I love that. It really is freedom, right? When we don't have to rely on other people, nice and slow. This time, take your hands behind you and clasp your fingers together. Reach your knuckles down towards the baseboard. Draw the shoulders back and open the chest. It feels really good. Breathing fully into the front ribs, into the belly. Good. 2 more breaths. Inhale. And if you're unable to interlace your fingers, you maybe can bring your hands to the back of your pelvis and squeeze your elbows in towards each other. Good. 1 more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Take 1 foot behind the other. You can face a wall or just hold on to a chair, however you want to get to this position. We're basically stretching the calf, taking 1 hand to the front thigh and hinging forward. Good. And just take a couple of breaths here. There's got to be a reason that you take this time, team. I guarantee you that without a reason, you will find it difficult to stay consistent. Right? And that is my goal. But yes, next time, as I was saying, you do this class, you put on some tunes. Yes? Step your foot forward and switch sides. Maybe grab someone in your house to do your workout with. It's always fun to have a partner. And to that team, if you do have someone in your family who listens in the background, and maybe needs a little encouragement to join you, know that it is no extra cost to have a house member, someone who lives with you, enjoy the class with you, okay? Or even a neighbor. My focus will always, though, be on you for guidance, but you are absolutely welcome to share this class with someone you care about. Good, come on up. Separate your feet outside of your hips. We're going to come into a side knee bend. So you're lunging to the side, bending your knee, keeping this leg straight. Chest is lifted. Press into your thigh, team, so you can lift up out of your waistline. That's better. Good. Take another breath here. I'm getting ready, trying to get really strong. Switch to the other side so I can get on those trails and get up those hills with that bike. This is one thing the world doesn't tell you, Peloton doesn't tell you, that it does not prepare you for riding your bike in real life at all. I mean, it helps your, VO2 max output, but other than that, not functional at all. Come on up. Let's get a front of the toe stretch or front of the foot stretch, which may perhaps get into your quadricep. So for those of you who are unable to bring your heel to your seat, you can enjoy this variation, pressing the top of your foot down, pushing both hips forward and sitting again, trying to lift up out of your waistline. So yes, Preparing ourselves for the summer, kayaking, golfing, tennising. I know pickleball is really popular now. I know nothing about it. Let's switch legs, team. Anybody here pickleball? Nobody? Oh yeah, Marion. Awesome. Cool. You'll have to tell me a little bit about this game and why it's so popular. And it's popular with all age groups. This is the thing. It's very rare that you see a sport come along that everybody loves to do. Good. And then again, with your hands either at a wall or a chair, you're going to come back into a hip hinge position. Feet are just outside of the hips or even slightly wider, but really focus on a nice stretch, flat back. So for me, I have a counter, and I love this because I can hold the counter and let my hips way back away from the wall, away from the counter. Not necessary, but just an added bonus. Don't do it with a chair in the middle of the room. Last breath here, team. Good. Bend your knees, press into the ground. Come on up, turn to face one another. Inhale, raise your arms wide and as high up to the sky as you can. And exhale, bring them back down. 2 more times, just like that, Elizabeth. Let's go. Inhale. And exhale. And 1 more time. I know I'm running late. If you've got to go, I get it. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, arms down by your side. We're going to end with a little bit of a bounce. And I would suggest that if you're in a high-risk category, you can still join. This is great for drainage of the lymphatic system in our body. So we have over 700 lymph nodes. And this is a great way to expel the waste from the lymph nodes, is starting with a little bit of a jiggle. So you become jello. I'm really big on the baking shows. Or panna cotta. Apparently panna cotta, I've never had panna cotta, needs to have a wobble. So we are all living panna cotta. Oh, Diana. A little wobble, a little knee bounce, and then maybe the heels start coming off the ground. And are you holding tension in your shoulders if your name starts with an E? I think you are. So try to let the shoulders go. And with that, you have a little bit more wobble in the arms. Yeah, a little bounce. Good. We'll go for 5. Let it go. 4, 3. Ooh, feels good. 2, maybe the head bobbles a little bit. And 1, and pause. Take 1 hand to your belly, 1 hand to your chest. If you can softly close your eyes. If you feel dizzy, just If you feel dizzy, just gaze downcast. And just feel the movement underneath your hands. Welcoming yourself to the remainder of the day. At the end of your next exhalation, and exhale, let it go. Release your arms. Have a wonderful day, team. Thank you so much for joining me in class number 1 of Move Better 55 Plus Strength and Body Weight. Thank you so much, team.